much. We're still following this as a breaking news story. We're now just over 24 hours away from a government shutdown after House Republicans turned on themselves in a short-term funding vote designed to give lawmakers more time to reach a long-term deal.
Today's setback, the latest embarrassment for House Speaker Kevin McCarthy, who once again failed to reach the extreme right-wing conservatives within his own party.
And we want to bring in Fox 32 political analyst and professor at North Central College, Stephen Caliendo. Thank you so much for being with us, Professor, to break this all down.
Sure, Anthony Tia, it's great to see you tonight.
Let's get right into it. You know, a lot of people are seeing this unfold, and a lot of people are still unclear on what the issue is. So the two sides are still talking. What is the issue here at stake of why there's still no deal?
It's a wonderful question, Tia, and it's not an issue the way we usually talk about issues like a policy issue. The government has shut down over healthcare, over Obamacare. The government has shut down over immigration policy. This isn't like that. This is a handful of folks who are determined to press Kevin McCarthy and most of the Republican Party into decisions that they want to have done. And this is something that stems back to our discussions way in January, when it took Speaker McCarthy more than a dozen ballots to be elected Speaker in the first place. So this isn't about any one principled issue. And I don't even know if it's all people who are more conservative pushing moderates. It's just a handful of folks who are holding the Speaker's feet to the fire.
So given the 11th hour nature of this discussion right now, Professor Caliendo, any chance in your mind of some kind of Hail Mary last-minute deal before the deadline at midnight?
It's unlikely, but it's been unlikely before, and they've come up with something. The problem here really, Anthony, is that they, what the Republicans, even if they can come up with a deal and enough of a coalition to pass something in the House, without any Democratic support at all, it's unlikely to pass the bipartisan the bills that have gone through in the Senate already. And so, of course, the way I don't want to be just a North Central College professor to you, but remember how it works, right? Both houses have to pass it, but they have to pass the same bills, and so they got to be reconciled. And there's a big gap between what the Republicans in the House want and what the bipartisan bills coming out of the Senate have shown.
If the government does shut down, we know a lot of people are impacted. Let's start with this number. 4 million government workers would not be paid. What about people receiving WIC and SNAP and Social Security benefits? How would they be impacted by this?
I expect those payments were going to continue under this operation. The payments can go, but any customer service is going to be put to a hold. Essential employees will be not reporting. There will be delays. There'll be delays in pay, even for essential workers. But my understanding is, and the way that this shutdown will work, is that Social Security benefits will be moving forward. WIC benefits should move forward, except for that. My understanding is I think they only have a couple of days in reserves to pay out, where Social Security is a little more solvent right now. So it's going to be day to day. They can't take many weeks to figure this out, or it's going to be a real problem.
And you mentioned those workers working without pay, government workers. I know the Department of Homeland Security responsible for securing the border. I know that this is the issue we've been talking about for so long here in Chicago with the migrant crisis. What in your mind could the impact of this shutdown have in terms of the chaotic nature of the situation at the border?
Yeah, Border Patrol agents won't be paid, the federal Border Patrol agents won't be paid. Of course, state employees can continue to be paid. Airlines, those folks should be reporting to work, but they won't be paid right away. So when we think about the migrant crisis, so much of it is being handled by states. A lot of that will continue. It's not like the border is going to completely open up as a result of the shutdown, but it's certainly not what some of those on the right-hand side of the aisle, especially in the House, want to see happen at the border.
Professor, how long do you think a shutdown could potentially last?
Well, we've had them last as much as a month. If you remember the last one we had, I think it started in December because there was a continuing resolution passed in October, started in December and didn't get reconciled until close to the end of January. And so it could last that long. But at any point, a deal could be struck and it could abruptly end. And that's certainly what we need to hope for.
All right. Before we let you go, we wanted to ask you about the kind of the political implications of this whole situation. Who in your mind do you think stands to be the biggest loser in this shutdown? This is all happening on Joe Biden's watch, of course, but the conflict here is within the Republican Party.
Yeah, the president almost never gets blamed for a government shutdown because it's clearly sort of congressional action that's at stake. It's not like the president's vetoing the spending bills. The question is it going to be Democrats or Republicans that get blamed? The Republicans are doing the infighting. They're getting a lot of the attention. But the fact of the matter is that the bill that came through the House early today, not one Democrat voted for it either. And they don't really seem like they're interested in bailing out Speaker McCarthy and his political problems. So it remains to be seen who the American public will blame. But Congress's approval ratings certainly don't stand to get any higher as a result of this.
That's why we have you here, because you always break it down so everyone can understand. Professor Stephen Caliendo, thank you so much for being with us.
Have a great weekend, you two.
You too. You too.